Feel free. Let's go ahead and So now we're entering the fun after party roundtable. It's tri-hex and friends here. I'm not alone. I want to thank y'all again so much for being here on short notice here. We were figuring out the roster quite quickly, and things are moving very fast with going from the PBS to the cancellation to the Twitch premiere and everything else here. So by all means, feel free. Top left here, introduce yourself. Who are you? Why are you awesome?
Let's see. I am NathanGrayson, and I am a reporter and co-founder at a website called Aftermath, which is aftermath.site, not .com. We're a worker-owned, reader-supported website about video games and the internet. And then I also wrote a book about Twitch that came out earlier this year called Stream Big, The Triumphs and Turmoils of Twitch and the Stars Behind the Screen. And you can buy that pretty much wherever. So yeah, I've been covering Twitch for sometimes I'm like, oh, like more than half a decade. And then after a while, I'm like, wait a minute, it's been just fully a decade now. So yeah, for a really, really long time. It's crazy to see how much things have changed. And also, even watching this documentary, how much they've also kind of stayed the same.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Nathan.
Yeah.
No stranger to the stream here. Just recently here, 10 minutes ago. The director of Break the Game. Feel free to say it again for everyone if you'd like.
Yeah, Jane, director, producer, editor, many hats of Break the Game. And actually really excited to see Nathan in here because I remember you covered Narcissus, I think, for Kotaku like a decade-ish ago. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then thank you, Jane. And then to the top right here, my brother from another mother. What is going on, bro? We have not done a collab in long overdue, and that's my fault. I'm sorry. You have invited me to many a panel. I was going through it, dog. I'm so sorry, man. I love you. I'm here to redeem that though. Who are you?
Am I top right? Because I'm in the bottom left on my screen.
Oh.
But like,
actually, I thought it was static. I put y'all through some confusion here. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, you're top right.
But I was like, yeah, we have collabed in the past, so I'm guessing we're talking about the same person. It's really good to see you again, Trihex. Awesome to be here. I saw the movie today. Absolutely loved it, Jane. Congratulations. That is a beautiful film. Oh my god, I was watching the whole thing, and I was definitely sitting there thinking, this could have a terribly sad ending. I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared to watch a movie like this right now. And then I was like, oh, that was absolutely beautiful. That was a really fun experience. So well done. And yeah, I cover news, politics from around the world, usually Monday through Fridays on Twitch and YouTube. You can find me everywhere at TheSerfsTV or on YouTube, The Surf Times. And being a longtime fan of trihex, especially because I do love some Mario games, and he's one of the only people who seems to be able to beat some of those insane levels on Mario Maker that I give up after 2,000 tries. So, congrats.
I do be crushing them turtles, bro. All right, and then in the film, quite predominantly here, none other than the infamous D Girl. Talk to us.
Yeah. Hi, I'm D Girl. I'll have to apologize for the Hikiki Mori lighting. I don't know how to work these webcam things anymore. I've kind of given up on it.
I get that reference.
Wow.
I know what that is.
Yeah, I understand the reference. So yeah, I'm in the film. I don't stream anymore, but I used to stream under D Girl with a U. I actually got my name fixed to be spelled with an I. I know someone asked about that. And then I had to change it back because of the documentary. But yeah, I'm a former streamer, musician, and a person on Blue Sky and not on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. As you should be. Phenomenal.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves here now. So yeah, we're at the after party roundtable now, where we're not confined by talking specifically about the film, even though I failed to do that with Jane beforehand here earlier. So now we get to go a little bit heavier, get the hands dirty, get a little mechanic workshop grease all up in here. We can now explore the bigger ramifications of the themes and ideas that were demonstrated throughout the film here. I particularly wanted to really look at here, again, I think a big value of the film here is the unapologetic authenticity of the Twitch chat discourse you see throughout the film, and kind of this is authentic. People can all agree upon that here. and a lot of it is negative, right? There's like, it's a very explicit here that a lot of them were like hate watchers. They were just there to watch Narcissus crash out. They even were encouraging it. I'm not here because I like your accomplishments, or I'm even here for your journey. I'm here because I want my fodder slop of the day, and I'm fueled off of that kind of stuff here. As reminiscent of the third party aggregator of content on Twitch, which is predominantly a unaffiliated third party subreddit that is live stream fails. And they are just there to, like, again, look at their hog fed slop continuously, and probably eventually just develop some kind of like parasocial entitlement, toxic amounts of expectations from streamers anonymously and broad. And I don't know, there's kind of a lot going on here. I just feel like that the whole system of, like, whether it be LSF or just like hate watching or even just being toxic or shitters or whatever here, it seems quite normalized. And can we just kind of like pause and examine, is this true? Does it have to be this way? And what can we do about it? I don't know. Feel free to go from here, whoever wants to open the floor.
Yeah.
I did want to say one thing. This movie was the first time, because I'm someone who knows what it's like to have like a little bit of viewers and then grow to have hundreds and then thousands of live viewers. This is the only movie I've seen that actually puts the viewer who's watching it for the first time, could be someone who doesn't stream at all, in that stress mode that you feel from the numbers going up and down in real time based on your behavior. And I don't think you can really translate that to people until you see it in that kind of form, where it's like, sometimes really aggressive behavior gets rewarded on Twitch, or even crash outs get rewarded, and people loved. It's just like the car crash effect, right? Like, you love to see something at the same time. You're like, oh, that's terrible, but I have to keep watching. I need to know what happens next. That was really well conveyed in the film. And I was like, I feel so many times that people get in this weird mindset where they try to go down that rabbit hole and wonder to themselves, like, what could I be doing right now? And more people want to see me, flail than they want to see me succeed at this game.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of that, even just what you were talking about, kind of feeds into a lot of this of, a way to often get people to pay attention to you on the internet is by doing things that are like objectionable or abnormal, or like that make people say, oh, I can't look away from this because it's so crazy. And oftentimes a lot of that is negative behavior as opposed to like doing something really cool or nice. Like, think about all of the like sub drives for charity that like do not pull the same number of viewers as like somebody just, basically having an awful time or being really mean to other people or whatever else. And then like if you scale that up to the company level of like all these platforms that, run everything from Twitch to YouTube to TikTok or whatever, they also want to encourage that because it gets them better numbers, and then more people watch ads on their platforms and they make more money. And so like that's why all this is so normalized. It's not just on the individual level or the level of creators. It's on the level of companies that realize that they make more money when everyone is being horrible than they do when everyone is being, nice and pro-social and decent.
Oh God, that was painful to admit. There, you're not wrong. You're super not wrong.
I'm kind of
I
coming.
mean, it's built into. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm kind of coming around to the belief that literally everything ends high school, and I've been thinking about how like the way like schools deal with bullying, and a lot of these like systems of like the equivalent would be like community moderation on online platforms, where it's basically set up to ignore you if you're a minority of one way or another. And you can just kind of like bullies can just beat up on you. And the moment you lash out even a little bit, that's when the system is actually there to like, corral you and, punish you for like reacting to like endless abuse. So I think it's one of those things where like whenever you build up a new system, it kind of reflects the ills of society writ large. It's, I don't know. That's kind of what it feels like. It just like it's more like bad high school stuff that kind of just like found its way into online.
I don't think you're wrong there at all. I think probably one of the biggest tells I can think of here of the whole thing is that you can definitely fail upward. And the fact that like generally TOS violations are, on a cultural standpoint, it's a marketing tactic, free publicity, and at worst a free vacation if it's like under 7 days. Like if you get a 3-day suspension, it's like, okay, Lamau, you just go to every other platform and farm it. Why I got banned, farm it, and then come back and do a comeback event. And ultimately it'd probably be like a net positive rather than even implicably a negative here. And I feel like that kind of leads to a lack of reform on like understanding like maybe what the genuine misbehavior could have been. And also the fact that the external systems reward the juvenile and delinquency continuously. You know, the TOS exists and the rules exist purely just to like be min-maxed for they are in themselves, they are farming for content.
Yeah. Well, they also exist to give like the platforms plausible deniability. So they can say, well, we don't condone that behavior. We're actually above that. But it's like, yeah, but if you let them come back after like 3 days, then you kind of do, especially when, again, you're still making money off of it. You're making money off of every step of the process. So like you condone the behavior through your actions, but you can say like with your words, oh no, that's, you know, we're family friendly, or like we're in favor of LGBT rights or whatever. And it's like, except for that a lot of the people that you host sure don't talk that way, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, man, are we allowed to go mask off here a little bit? I don't know if I want to do that right now, but like, listen, I'm one to critique.
Mask off.
I'm one to critique Twitch a lot here, but I'm okay. Just this is like cold take here too, by the way. I would argue, but you know, I rarely want to talk about specific people, but like, is it true that Aiden Ross is unbanned here now? Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah,
that actually, one. That's the one where I'm just like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what?
Wait, is Aiden Ross the guy who can't read?
Yes, he's the guy who like, couldn't pronounce fascism, or what was the word that he couldn't?
Yeah, it was fascism.
Yeah. But no, so I actually published a piece the week before last, because basically a Twitch employee like leaked one of their internal meetings to me where Dan Clancy, the CEO of Twitch, was asked to justify unbanning Aiden Ross, because you know they unbanned him over a weekend, and people within the company understandably were like, this is weird, and like we're not super good with it, so why did we do this? And like Dan Clancy did this whole spiel about how like basically in his mind people deserve like second chances after a point, which I kind of agree with. I don't think that like short of some really, really bad behavior, you should ever be banned forever. But he was like, Aiden Ross, you know, is an example of someone who's made the effort to change. And it's like, has he though?
I was like, how?
There's a clip of him from like earlier this year, Nazi saluting a bunch of his fans. Like, I don't know, like, unless you mean he made an effort to change in the past handful of weeks, then I don't really know what we're talking about here. But again, you know, it's about money at the end of the day. It's also like, it's this weird thing of, and I saw people speculating about this, like Dan Clancy is very, like, he wants certain streamers to like him, and, you know, is very, like, in touch in this way that almost doesn't benefit him as a CEO of the company. Like and so, like, it could have been him trying to, like,
right?
Yeah, like him trying to like get in with specific streamers who wanted Aiden Ross to come back and wouldn't stop asking him to unban him. I don't know. It's really weird. It's bizarre. Because also Aiden Ross isn't even streaming on Twitch. He just wanted to get unbanned to like say that he was.
Yeah. It's
he's
just,
not
again,
it.
it's just content. It is content. It's small thing about that here. There's this weird thing I've seen now where like every component of the entirety of your online existence now is content. Your tweets, like some of the tweets these streamers make here, they'll just say like a thing like, you know, bro, that was lit. Like there's no context to the tweet or the post or whatever here, and like you have to be on the stream to get it. And I'm like, okay, so this is like, that's content. Your title is not informative of your stream. That is content. The custom tags you use for, you know, like whatever, like gay, autistic, furry, whatever, right? Because they're custom tags, you just put whatever fart you want there mentally. That is content. That's to be farmed. Nothing is serious. Everything is just a palatable component of the bigger thing of consumption. And it's just, I don't know what to call that phenomenon at this point, but right. But you get what I'm saying here, right? Getting banned, that's content. Getting unbanned, that's content. The whole thing is just content. Aiden getting unbanned on Twitch here, there's no, like, just whatever. Lamau, you know, Twitch bent to me because they were woke and now they want me, the anti-woke guy, to come back here again. It's just content. I don't know what to call that here, but it's a bit it's weird. It's very, very weird. Like no one takes themselves seriously, and because of that, it's almost like nothing is serious. So then like the nature of the discourse and the dialect is like infinitely stupider. I don't know.
I think
oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I think to D-Girl's point, and yours too, Trihex, is that like it sends a mixed message, especially when you've got a platform that's, say, around like Pride is very pro LGBTQ, puts a lot of effort into making like, banners and rainbows and all that fun stuff. And then when you see like the biggest streamers on the platform with, 40,000 live viewers, like Asmongold, just saying the most deplorable stuff, right? Like you can only say so much that like we care and we care about you and we care about protecting all of our, different groups and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we're totally going to tolerate people who generate a ton of money and just spew hate speech, just the worst kinds, and that message is obviously, it's really hurtful, especially to people who are smaller streamers, and they have to deal with so much harassment just by virtue of existing, right? Like they're just online, they're not doing anything. Like there's a lot of times you can scroll through smaller like 10 viewer, 20 viewer streamers. If they're just LGBTQ plus, that's it. Just for existing, people are going to drop in and stop trying to like goad them into doing something or get them to react or something like that, like troll them.
Yeah.
And that really sucks.
Yeah,
You're not wrong.
But I mean, I think it's especially telling with somebody like Asmongold, because you had like, I think that he's always harbored some questionable political views, but he didn't really express them on stream much for a long time. And then we sort of had this moment where, like, I think the start of it, honestly, was like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial a minute ago, where a bunch of people who were like otherwise video game streamers or content creators, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere else, TikTok especially, all realized like, oh man, there's numbers in this. And so all these people who like previously, had no expertise in like court cases or abuse or anything like that, any of the stuff covered in that case, were like, time for me to put on my expert in this thing hat and pretend like I know everything about this. Because people were hungry for more information about what was going on. They had like, the clips from the case and nothing else. And so these streamers would like basically provide supplemental content. And people got really into that. And as soon as streamers saw their numbers go up, they're like, I need to do the next version of this thing indefinitely. And for Asmongold now, that's become like modern politics and Trump stuff and going after people on the left and all of that. Like it does better numbers for him than video games do. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to pivot to this. But that's the downside of calling everything content, is that somebody who doesn't actually know shit about something believes that they can still talk about it indefinite or at length because they have an audience. And that's all you need now, is just, here's an audience and I will talk to them.
I love that you said you said that so eloquently. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off here, D-Girl. If you want to go ahead and continue.
No, it's I read an analogy that kind of like made a lot of stuff click for me. Was it was someone talking about how Nazi bars come into being, and the gist of it was that no one ever opens up a Nazi bar. The way it works is you open up a normal bar, and then you get one guy who comes in and he's a Nazi, and he's just kind of, he's not doing any Nazi shit. He's just kind of like wearing like the vest with the pins and whatever, and he's just kind of like, he's very polite and very nice. And if you like let him hang around because he pays money and his money spends, then eventually he'll bring one of his friends, and his friend is also very, very affable, and he spends money and stuff. He doesn't make a scene or anything. And you can like let those guys, you kind of just let those guys keep coming in because they're not making a scene and they're spending money and whatever. And eventually, suddenly, there's a bunch of Nazis in your bar, and suddenly they stop being so nice and affable. And then all the normal people who used to come to your bar don't go to your bar anymore because it's a Nazi bar now. But it just kind of like, the bar got replaced brick by brick around you. And that's kind of like, I think that's what happens with a lot of online spaces, because it's, the Nazis kind of generate a lot of, they generate a lot of money and a lot of engagement and a lot of content. And it's, if you don't like kick them out at the beginning, then you just end up with a Nazi website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look at Twitter.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I was gonna continue from your again, Nathan. The point you made there was immaculate, concise, easy to follow, and absolutely spitting there on the whole thing here. It is something. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on Asmon, because it's like the last time I collaborated with him was in October of 2023 when I was on a Steak and Eggs podcast, and y'all know me. I'm principled. I would definitely like, hey, I don't really want to. We got to talk about like what you've been doing lately. But the flags weren't. So it's more recent, right? Because the flags weren't there for me at that time. So I don't think he was going as overt on the political commentary, whatever at this point now. So, and I've been continually let down by what I've seen continuously with his like clips out of context and in context with like what he's been saying, whether it been the Palestinian inferior culture thing or the 10 other million things since then. And there's something a bit more dangerous when you're like an overt political commentator, say the likes of like, I don't know, like Ben Shapiro or Candace Owens or Matt Walsh or whatever, right? Versus like this the facade of the apolitical gamer adjacent, which is more akin to like these like anti-woke gamers who don't play games, honestly, right? And to a smaller degree, or larger degree here, Asmongold, who is like, I would argue he would declare himself like, not necessarily political, just like I have based takes about things that are predominantly are political, but he's not overtly political. So it's almost like you get to like have your toes halfway in, it's like flirting. It's like being like a creep flirt pervert, but like you get to like plausible deniability. Well, I'm only being a creepy flirter if you don't get turned on by it. I'm just joking otherwise here. It's like, it's kind of like being in both Kool-Aid pools at one time here. And you just go, oh, I'm political and I'm based, but I'm also not political, right? Because political would be cringe or whatever else here. I don't know. It's just really weird. It's this really weird, like double privilege thing that I think a lot of them are doing now here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a way that viewers get radicalized. Like, and it really reminds me of Our White Goose.
Oh. Yeah,
the speedrunner that
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. So
he was a GoldenEye speedrunner.
Correct.
And I really liked his streams at one point. Like, he really went in depth on GoldenEye records, lore. He made like these really like super in-depth speedrun history videos. And then his content just got, I mean, maybe it always was this way and I just wasn't aware. But it got really, I want to say incel-y.
Yeah, misogynistic, incel-y, anti-women. You can, that's pretty accurate.
Neo-Nazi. And all of a sudden I'm like, I imagine like viewers, like they probably don't even realize like, oh, I'm watching a Nazi. I thought I was just watching videos about GoldenEye, and suddenly, and they're in it because it didn't start that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
if I
that's the
recall
same
correctly,
thing with Asmongold in World of Warcraft, right? Like that's like, it's like Tri-hex was saying, that was his expertise. But like having a doctorate in World of Warcraft doesn't make you equipped to start talking about the Holocaust and the persecution of LGBTQ plus people, which is what he's doing now, which is why it's leading to all these horrifying takes where you're like, that's both ahistorical and deeply racist and very, very offensive. But sure, now's the time to start talking about that.
I think the reason it works, though, unfortunately, is that like, if you have this audience that watches you day after day, then they come to trust you kind of implicitly in just most things you say. And like the same can't necessarily be said for a lot of institutions that are also supposed to be conveying this information. A lot of traditional media, a lot of publications are bad at talking about a lot of subjects that are relevant to modern people. Take, for example, and Lance, you've covered this many times, like the media has failed repeatedly on talking about Palestine. In these ways that kind of give up the game about where their priorities lie. And so in the absence of a better alternative or a more viable one, people turn to their favorite influencer, no matter who it might be, no matter what their opinions might be, because they're like, well, at least this is a person with a face and a name who I trust. And if they were honest with me this whole time about this other subject, why would they lie to me now? Which, it's seductive logic. I don't think it necessarily holds water in the long run, as we've seen. Oh, it's very parasocial.
Because they have a parasocial relationship. It's like you're talking to a buddy. And it's like, but your actual friend doesn't have an audience of 40,000 teenagers, right? So that's the biggest difference is you can tell them, oh, no, that's not true at all. Don't say that. If you say that, it'll have horrifying consequences. Don't teach a bunch of people that. Probably read up on it first. Go to Wikipedia, and then we can save the world.
Yeah, go to Wikipedia, the Destiny method.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're also like at a really dangerous point where we're longing for our leaders to say something and fight, and they're not. So where do people turn in that moment? Because you need someone to be saying something, and then you'll listen and see what people are saying can really change people in that moment of crisis.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We're even seeing that a little bit now with like influencers turn politicians or the other way. There's a Kat Abu who's running in Illinois.
Our girl,
basically, she's awesome.
She's awesome.
And like made her name doing TikToks like dissecting Fox News and making fun of shit they were saying. Where you have like Zoran in New York who's running for mayor right now.
I was gonna literally bring him up next and be like,
"Yep,
our boy raised 8 million cap. He's we're here. He's there. Like, stop giving me money. I've actually reached max contributions. I can't do any more with it. That is, I literally gave him a shout out on my stream yesterday. I was like, yo, are y'all paying attention right now? Because change is coming here. People are. I literally shouted out those two yesterday. I was like, look, here's proof of a better tomorrow is possible. Check out what's going on here. Mm-hmm. She raised, I think, so far to date, $400,000, and he $8 million. They hate Eric Adams. Holy shit. God bless.
No, I live in New York. Nobody here likes Eric Adams. Yeah. We all want him to go away.
A fucking traitor, actually. Like, literally.
Hilariously unpopular.
Literally just like, oh my God, yeah. What was it again? What was it?
My love language is...
Like, holy shit. I'm sorry.
My love language is sending Eric Adams clips.
Yeah. Well, where do we go from here? What So okay, that was a great opener. Thank you again. That was phenomenal. We are spinning right now here. Let me see here. Serfs, you had mentioned here. I'm sorry, Lance. You had mentioned here that that like there's just like an innate like harassment tax just for being openly LGBTQIA online, and I guess I want to ask her kind of like the obvious question, but I think it's a good idea to give a basis to all of chat as well here, right? Like, why is it that like those who are underrepresented seem to just have this innate harassment tax online? Like, why is it like minorities and the underprivileged and the underrepresented? Why is it that like all of them are the ones that are like innately more vulnerable to harassment? You would think.
I could open it up a little larger than that, because I think that is 100% true. Those are groups that obviously get a lot of it online. But I think also just by virtue of being a woman online and any definition of a woman or any version of what a woman is, you get a lot of targeted harassment online. And so if you happen to be a trans woman, I mean, that's going to get a specific group of people who are going to target just specifically trans women. There's people who just go after black women or indigenous women, right, for example. And I think, like, if you're a person who speaks to women and listens to their stories, they're constantly telling you about how much harassment they face just by virtue of existing. Also on the Twitch platform, like, we have a massive problem with devaluing women if they're successful, right? Like, you always see that thing where it's like, she's really famous, it must be because she has really big tits or because she's beautiful. It has nothing to do with her content or her ability to like do the same thing that guys do and stuff like that. So I think that in and of itself is just like a massive problem Twitch wide. And then you can just expand that to, there's a lot of smaller streamers who just get specifically targeted. And unfortunately, it is just by virtue of existing a lot of the time. I don't want to give Twitch no credit. They have done a lot of work in the past couple of years to revamp their systems. I remember they did a big purge of Twitch chat specifically so that, like, people who try to hide slurs can't do that anymore, and try to, like, encode things. That got a little bit better at that. People have to sign up for accounts, which makes it a little easier to stop trolls making their 20th account to target someone. But it's still, again, there's a broader message, like Nathan was saying, of what is or what is not tolerated is also based on your level of success. If you are someone who, again, does some of the most horrifying hate speech possible, but you're pulling in 40,000 live viewers, you're probably going to get a lot more leeway than a new Twitch streamer who accidentally slipped up and they happen to be gay, but they call themselves the F slur. Then, that clip alone is enough. Delete. Account gone, right? Which is also really hard.
Yeah.
Well, there's
also just the... go ahead.
There is something about like the way that that harassment and hate works is that, like, I think the term hate is it's a very bad way to go about describing this stuff, because it's not like if you like two like white guys throwing hands outside of a bar because they hate each other. That's not a hate crime, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like a lot of these things, like, the fundamental relationship of men to women under patriarchy is a property relationship, right? And a lot of these, what bullies go after is they're basically reinforcing social hierarchies. And a lot of our like enculturation is based around like, oh, your job is to maintain these hierarchies. Even if you conceive of yourself as like a good or like forward-thinking person, you basically have to undo all the learning that you've ever done in your entire life, and that's a lifelong job. And so in terms of oh crap, I just closed the window. In terms of I closed the chat window. In terms of asking like content moderation and like community work and asking, and asking like Twitch to police itself. You're basically asking the powers that be to hold themselves accountable for the same like structures of power that uphold their wealth and privilege. So they're directly incentivized to kind of pretend like they're doing the work when in actuality they're doing anything but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also just the background of like Twitch as a platform that for a long time it majority catered to, like younger white men. And that legacy will always exist, especially on Twitch. And so as a result, you're just going to be like fighting against that part of the culture, even as you try to make things better, even as Twitch changes the rules to accommodate people of more backgrounds, even as like you have all of these things that you're trying to do. Like these histories don't just go away. I mean, like obviously, very different examples, but like this is the same or similar to the way that people in America are like, we beat racism. It's over now, and it'll never have any effect on anyone ever again. And it's like, no, the country was fucking founded on it. Like it's always going to be part of our social fabric and our political fabric. And like you have to acknowledge that to beat it. If you ignore it, then it has already won.
Yeah, we already whitewashed history so much here, and just, like you said, your slaves built the White House, so like you gotta like have that honest conversation about how intertwined racism is in American culture all day. You're spitting, Nathan. You're spitting. Real quick here, I wanted to say this earlier when we were talking about particularly as you brought up there, Lance, how women are especially targeted continuously on this platform, and just in general, whenever it's like women in these like male dominant spaces, right, where it's like you have to like, there's really no path to like coexisting peacefully. It's either like you're carried and that's why you're popular, you're boosted, that's why you're popular, or because you're a woman, you're innately not really, you're not meant to be here. Go back to kitchens or sandwiches or whatever, maybe whatever the thing of the day is going to be for the insult, right? I wanted to bring up kind of thing that kind of got glossed under here, just to kind of reaffirm the point you made there, Lance, which was that like, if you remember, there was just to give you an idea of how much of the patriarchy and the male dominant space we're talking about here. If you remember, there was a sex pest named Hassan, not Hassanabi, the staff guy, if you recall him, right? And
Hassan Bukhari,
so there was
right?
a corruption in the he was like the head of partner management, if I recall correctly. He had a pretty high position, and I got to meet him and know him for a number of years until he got outed as like from numerous women simultaneously on the whole Me Too front and all that. And he would deliberately go and target women who were of low viewership, like 20 to 30 viewers, and deliberately abuse that power dynamic into extortion and, hey, look, I'm going to get you partner. I'm going to get you views, maybe even rotating front page promo here. He would extort all the tools as leverage for that relationship here. And it's gross. It's gross. I read like 2 of those Me Too Google Docs, and I was like, bro, this guy's got to go. That is like, and it's such a uniquely like you can't even like, even the path to genuinely growing it, that is also vulnerable towards women being exploited here in a uniquely terrible way. So I kind of wanted to bring
it's not just a Twitch issue. It's just, the culture at large. And as a woman, it's also hard when you witness abuses to speak up, because that comes with so many ramifications of, oh, this woman's so shrill, why can't she just let it alone? Everything about you becomes under attack when you speak up. And it's culture wide. It's not specific to Twitch, so of course Twitch is going to have the same issues.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Also, just being glorified as a victim and erasing your own identity and merits and being known as nothing more than just the victim 8 or 9 of a serial offender is a bit dehumanizing and belittling here. And I don't think anyone really is eager to get harassed on that identity that they didn't even want to have bestowed upon them in the first place.
That's always the thing too. Because if you talk about it, you're taking a massive risk. Because like it's not like people are going to say like, "Oh, you're a hero for coming forward." Instead, you're going to get harassed to hell and back by everybody who has an axe to grind, either against you or against the idea of anyone coming forward because somebody was, abused them or anything like that. Which also there was just a lot of that in Twitch's history. I wrote about this in my book, but like the early days of Twitch were so much more small and contained, and so you had like this very close relationship between streamers and partner managers. And so a lot of those partner managers would abuse their power because it was quite easy. You could just be like, as you're talking about in the case of the Hassan Bokhari is the guy's name from earlier.
Thank you.
But a lot of people did this where they said, yeah, okay, if you do this thing for me, whether that's like a sexual favor or whatever else, then I can, give you partnership status immediately, even though you don't have the right number of viewers for it. I can, make sure that you get front page placement at some point. Like they had all these levers they could pull that would get people to, do things for them. Not everyone did this, of course, or partook in it, but it was prevalent. And again, if that's where a company starts, then it's still going to bear traces of that down the line. It takes a long time to it takes a long and very, I guess it takes a lot of effort to finally end that, or to finally make sure that no longer happens at the company on any level.
Okay, well, thank you for, I totally agree. Let me ask this question actually, okay? So again, it's kind of a two-parter, but we can take it as slow or as fast as y'all are interested in talking about it here. What's the future of online discourse, and what should we do about it? Because I guess not to go too deep in a doomer pill, but with the proliferation of AI slop everywhere, with now everyone now having the commonality of now understanding here the symptoms of dead internet theory, you already have humans being terrible, but now you have engagement, algorithmic, full-blown pro addiction, what's the word here? Incentives built into the platforms now as they're increasingly accelerating their enshittification to just be literally addiction fodders. What does that mean for the discourse? And what should we do about it, you think? I know kind of a big question here, but I feel like I'm looking at where we were 2 years ago and where we are now, and it's just kind of I don't know. It's
solve the internet.
Yeah.
Painfully big question.
Burn it down, start over, salt the earth.
I mean, I've kind of gotten deeply train pilled and Web 1.0 pilled. So, I mean, I believe that the future of the internet is small, self-hosted websites, or I've started.
I agree.
I started making a NeoCities. Yeah. NeoCities is sick, by the way. You got to learn HTML, or you can copy paste HTML coded by a trans woman. And the other thing is just the internet has gotten so bad that it's kind of
dysfunctional.
The future is going outside and and urbanism and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of a lot of why all this negativity kind of worked its way into online platforms. It's life is very, very shitty, and so the only way people are kind of understand how to deal with that is to just take it out on someone else. It's a lot of just a chain of abuse instead of just oh, I can just go outside. But I do feel it's kind of turning a little bit. I mean, we're going to lose a lot of people. It's kind of, some people are full-blown Nazis now. There's not a lot you can do to come back from that. But I think we can save a couple libs.
I hope we can. I really care about those couple libs.
I think it's shitty for the same reason that a lot of industries are shitty, is that there's basically 5 companies that control all the websites we visit, and that's it. And you don't think about that, but when you go to Google or YouTube or Instagram or WhatsApp, you're going to one of 4 companies' websites, and because they have decentralized power to dictate how an algorithm is going to work, how it's going to implement and work on your brain chemistry, how it's going to addict you, how it's going to keep you on the websites, they've just been gamifying it for so long. Like you were talking about before, I mean, that Facebook whistleblower basically just exposed the fact that they're intentionally using gambling mechanics to keep people as angry as possible and on the site as long as possible, because it makes you generate more content for them. But I agree with the fact that we're at a critical point now where I think the future could be in I see hope in what Blue Sky is announcing it's going to do, not what it has done, but the idea of defederalizing, I think that's what it's called. But the tech people, please, D-Girl, correct me if I'm way off base here. But the idea that you could decentralize a network so that if they sold it to a different, if a billionaire sold it to another billionaire to acquire it, then they would be able to separate who hosts the servers in the same way that Mastodon works, right? Blue Sky said they're going to do that down the road. They just haven't done it yet. But if they do that, they would reach their goal of being billionaire proof effectively. If you can't make it capable of being bought and controlled by a centralized company, then you in a lot of ways would have a much more user controlled experience, which would be more ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Y'all were spitting earlier. My point's not as like, well thought out here. It's just more like a minor anecdote and some complaining here. But like, I've kind of seen here now that I enjoy tweeting or just the microblogging situation, like whether it be tweeting or Blue Sky. I just enjoy the entirety of it a lot less. I grew up, I'm a millennial, so I grew up in the golden era of the internet, the dumb social media, and when forums reigned supreme. And I feel like people were not as dumb back then. There was more consequences for being a jackass because the communities were more intertwined. So I miss when I'm a forum poster at heart. So like I enjoy the well thought with merit and intent of discourse rather than like what I feel like now is like just the dumbification of everything, where like everything now is either like lit, mid, trash, and no one's arguing over the why. It's just, I disagree with Lance here that it's mid, it's actually lit. No, well, fuck Lance, it's actually not lit, it's trash. And we're arguing over just the pre-denominations of the categories rather than like any of the nuance, to the point where even just the consumption of media itself is like purely the paywall to get to the discourse of it. Like people don't even care to watch the shit, they want to get a summary of the thing and then argue over that summary. And I'm just like, man, what the fuck happened here, dude? This sucks.
I mean, it's because the incentive structure around all of this is really messed up now, because it's not about having a good conversation in good faith with somebody as a means of like reaching an agreement or some sort of like, compromise in terms of your ideas or whatever else. It is about making numbers go up and making other people see what you're saying to somebody and like basically, making it seem like, oh, that person's point is really stupid, mine is great, you should reward me for this, I get dopamine, etc. And like the thing that older forums had going for them, regardless of their form or content, is that like you were in a more confined space, and generally the idea was like, let's just talk. And they weren't always perfect about that. But you also had, people specific to that forum often like moderating it and making sure the conversation stayed in line. You still get some of that with like smaller subreddits and things. But like, I think that as long as it's all about making numbers go up, we're always going to ultimately trend in the direction of treating each other badly, because then the conversations we're having are just a means to an end of making ourselves feel good, as opposed to like actually, meeting somebody halfway and like saying, yeah, okay, willing to hear you out. Let's just like have a conversation.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I definitely have seen now with the whole like my go-to example here is like flat earthers, right? Like I don't know if it was Facebook's algorithm first here, but like the proliferation of the flat earthers coming together here and effectively exile themselves from like functioning reality and society, with just continuing to just be re-engaged further by the flat earth propaganda and slop continuously, and then their social circle being entirely defined by those who support their beliefs and enabling their beliefs, to where they're so insular in here and they're so addicted to like sniffing their own farts metaphorically that if you're not a flat earther, you're not, they don't even want to talk to you. They take it as like a vehemently, you're vehemently like venom to them at that point. And it's that for a lot of things now, I'd say. But yeah, you're spitting, dude. You're spitting.
Yeah, I think it's like, as a brief aside, it's very one of like the big moments of the internet of the past several years was like Dan Olson's video on flat Earth. The twist midway through it where he was like, and then they all became COVID deniers, like in unison. Yep. Like it went from this one conspiracy to right to the next one. And like there's like search traffic to prove it. And like I think that's telling of how it all works. Is like there are these webs of conspiracy too that run through the internet now, and they're always like grabbing new different groups of vulnerable people and saying, okay, you should believe this, you should believe that, you should believe that. And like that's another thing, is like the structure of the modern internet just lends itself to, casting out any sort of expertise in favor of what sounds the most appealing or what sounds the simplest, and can explain away all of your problems all at once, whether it is a flat Earth or vaccines or autism or trans people or whatever else.
So I do have a bit of a like conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories. I do believe that, like because like there are conspiracies, right? Just like factually. But the conspiracy theories that are kind of allowed to proliferate are the ones that aren't actually dangerous to like the powers that be. So if
Oh,
you're a
yeah.
flat earther, like that's not really dangerous to the federal government or whatever. But if you're kind of getting close to it, then like you tend to be found uh you tend to be found unalived in your apartment. I think I had a thing and I forgot it. Oh no, this is okay. This is like where it started to click for me. I was watching this video of like a 9/11 conspiracy theory guy, and he was kind of like, I was kind of like picking up what he was putting down a little bit. He's talking about like, okay, this is like, here's like this Mossad, blah blah blah, and here's where like these like office buildings were in this and all that stuff. And then he got to the footage, and he said, and he pointed to the footage of like the plane going into the first tower, and he goes, and here's where you see a missile coming out of the plane. I'm like, you lost me there, dude. So I feel like that's like, yeah, I don't want to say psyop, but I do think like there's a little bit of that like hints at like that, like if you're the fact that you're a conspiracy theorist and you're allowed to like stay alive is kind of proof positive that you're kind of serving the powers that be in some shape or form.
Yeah. Also, the proof is in the pudding in terms of like, if you just look at what the right wing media machine elevates, like they are currently the ones in literal power, and they elevate very specific conspiracy theories on a regular basis. Like they pluck them straight from the internet, toss them up the chain to Newsmax to Fox News, like every day. They've got a whole process for it. And like those are the ones that don't threaten power, they elevate it.
Yeah, and right wing ideology like it does have to like put forward a fake conspiracy, because the real conspiracy is really obvious, right? There's people
it's out
with
in the
like
open.
suits and ties, and they have literal board meetings. So you have to like make up a different secret cabal that like it's somehow the leftists who are just like super poor but simultaneously super rich. And
Mhm.
I have they picked another like billionaire besides Soros? I feel
Yeah,
like
because Soros is about to die, right? He's super
yeah,
old.
they've milked that cow for like decades.
Well,
They
well,
gotta
didn't
pick a new
Elon
one.
literally admit, like, he was at a fundraiser, right, where he like raised his hand? It was like it was very close to election. He was like, "Yeah, I'm that. I'm the Soros of us. I'm the Soros of MAGA, or whatever." Like he literally like hammed up the whole like parallel of the whole thing to himself. So I feel like that's already kind of like peaked and moved on now. But again, hypocrisy and contradictions are not really how that entire like that whatever fan base hive mind cult operates anyway. You can't they don't reflect, they don't feel shame. So whenever you just like call out logical fallacies, they didn't arrive at those situations. They didn't arrive at those conclusions through logic in the first place. Here it's all emotions and vibes anyway, so it doesn't really even fucking matter.
Yeah.
So you have to like combat that in a whole fucking different way, which is a bit dangerous here, which is kind of why we are where we are now, I would say, right? In the era of the manosphere right wing media apparatus, where podcast bros have infinitely more what's the word here, like penetration into the psyche, much more so than the conventional, like, you know, you listen to like one dumbass TikToker versus like whatever the CDC is saying, and it's like CDC says X, TikToker says Y. I don't know, bro.
these are given
I
equal
saw
weight.
TikToker said this, bro. I don't know if I trust the CDC about all that bullshit, bro. You know, so it's a and to bring it back to a little bit of an anecdote I was going to say earlier here, I have like an unrelated normie IRL friend. This happened like probably like I think like November of 2022, and he just like was like, "Yo, bro, did you hear about this thing on TikTok?" And he just like spitballed like 7 conspiracies in a row, and I'm just like, "Okay, bro, that one you got to talk about this. This one." Correlation is not causation. You're kind of like you're assuming that this is like, I just sat there. I'm like, it was like insane how much slop he fed me in just this one casual convo at the gym, and I'm like, bro, wait, what are you watching? God damn, dude.
I mean, this is the thing, though, is like every conspiracy builds the same handful of big conspiracies. Like, this is how you always get back to like, and the Jews are controlling the world, because they're all trying to advance the same few viewpoints. It's just rebranding constantly, which is why like the right has gotten so effective at this, because they always know like, okay, it's time to refresh this one. We got to like find a new spin on that one. And thankfully for them, the internet is supplying new spins on the same old shit every single day. So they have their pick of it.
Oh, there's AI ones now. I don't know if you've seen those, but they're
Oh
like
my
AI
God,
conspiracy theory videos, and I'm just like, we got robots, poisoning our brains now. This is great. I love the future.
Yeah, I'm particularly terrified with the generative video stuff at this point because I know right now that they're all getting better. They do the same like slow pan out. I don't know what's called.
Yeah,
that
they all still
technique
look like dog shit.
They look
They're
like
getting
shit.
better relative to themselves. They are not
They-
getting better relative to like human produced video.
This is true, right?
Shout out
But
to your pixel artists, by the way. The pixel artists in that
Oh, that
movie
was
were
so good. Holy
absolutely
shit, that was
sensational.
gorgeous.
Yeah, I know.
Cooked.
There
Yeah.
was just so many parts of that
Patrick
movie.
is
I was
the
just
shit.
like, wow, yeah. Like I couldn't believe it was like 3 people. It was like one person who did all the actual pixel art, and then another person who animated it. But that was elaborate. That was like full blown, like feature film style pixel cartoons. I was like, this is amazing.
It took a long ass time.
and again, it was immersive. It wasn't like, oh, I want to do this cool thing, and it's like almost because you can almost sometimes those things can be kind of indulgent, right? Like I don't know, like maybe like in another world. I don't know. You're a filmmaker, so you tell me here, right? Like, but like in another world, maybe the like opening credits of like Spider-Man 2 and 3, which are like I think like damn near like 3 minutes long. Sure, it looks cool, but in its mood setting, but is it indulgent? I'd argue not. No, I like it almost obviously here, but like these kinds of things could be like a more distracting than like self-serving, and it cooked there. It was just like a natural extension of the whole film. I loved it for sure.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
It definitely beats the neo-fascist AI style.
oh my god.
I think what actually worries me about that more than it getting better, because again, I think that there's an obvious ceiling to it. It will always stand out as this weird kind of artificial thing that we can detect.
I hope so.
The problem is more that aesthetic is being normalized, as you say, in this kind of like fascistic way, and that even if it's still bad, it doesn't really matter if people come to accept it. And if they have it shoved in their face enough times over and over and over, they will, because it's just kind of how we are as like people. We adapt to things over time. They get normalized. Like, okay, this is just going to be around. Like right now, there's still this moment of people being like, I'm opposed to this. I don't like it. It makes me feel weird. I'm concerned about its effects on artists and art, etc. But like that won't last if we don't carry this momentum into actually, ensuring that this thing does not keep self-perpetuating. The only upside being that like, companies like OpenAI are not making money. And if they keep not making money, eventually they will collapse spectacularly. But,
Well, so Nathan,
Hey,
I pray for that to happen. Honestly, that'd be phenomenal. For a better tomorrow, and for many a cultural preservative reasons here. But I have to ask you, well, if it's not making money and it's gonna collapse eventually, why have I not seen this happen yet with like DoorDash and Grubhub? Because they are losing money right now, but they're being just like hard carried by they're just like out surviving with the angel investors until one of them collapses, right?
Yeah, so this is the tech playbook, right? What you do is you don't actually have a sustainable business model, and you never did.
Right.
But you have investors pumping money into you, and you become so ubiquitous, like, you become a common like household term that the world won't live without you anymore. And so you just keep finding new sources of money, even though people never actually make money back on you and you're not profitable. That's what tech companies do now. Like there was a time when people actually strove to make money and make goods and services that had value. Now they're like, how can I scam even richer people than myself out of money? Like people who are richer and dumber than me. How do I get their money?
So the idea is I endure so long that I become definitively parasitic, right? I require a host to extract from and survive and persist.
Oh, you're parasitic from the get-go, baby.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Not become. You were incepted as parasitic, right?
Yes.
And eventually it just gets there. Okay. Well, that sounds like a terrible business model. I don't know if I really fuck with that, but
I do kind of want to piggyback on that because it bears mention that the only the big sell for those companies to investors is that like, oh, you sign on with me and we're going to be the next Amazon or the next Meta. But the like Amazon and Meta are kind of the only two tech companies that are not like lighting money on fire. And the reason those companies are profitable is because they're glorified government contractors. Like Amazon still does not turn a profit on its store. Its actual profit source is AWS. And like Meta is the same thing. It makes money contracting with the government. It doesn't actually make money by servicing a product, right?
Well, that wasn't that prior to Meta itself. Like back when it was Facebook, totally agree with you. And then he like decided everyone is going to love my idea for virtual reality, which is that you can work at home in these weird little like cubicles, and no one wanted that. So he burnt billions on that, I think. And then they ended
on
up
roadblocks for yuppies.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, but don't worry, they have legs now. So
no, that's true.
It's incredible.
They advanced it. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
It does give me a little bit of hope that like a lot of these systems, they do kind of contain the seeds of their own destruction, and like the internet as it is so fundamentally insolvent that it will hit a point where it's just like there's nothing left. But unfortunately, the ruling class is going to have to siphon even more money away from us before they run out of venture capital. But I do like, not to quote The Office or anything, but like Dwight seems to be being proven right more and more. And he mentioned that the internet fad is going to be it's going to blow over pretty soon. So hopefully that's within the next 5 or 10 years.
Can you elaborate on that? The internet fad, as in like becoming chronically offline and being.
Oh no, it was just there was a whole plot line where Dunder Mifflin's competitor, when Dunder Mifflin was rolling out a website, and there was this whole, the salespeople were like fighting the implementation of this website, and like while Dwight was complaining about it, he said, "This isn't going to be a problem when this whole internet fad blows over."
Okay. I mean, I do think that it's worth considering in that way, because this is not a mode of operation that we as human beings have had for very long at all, right? And we've seen time and time again that we're not built for it. We're not built to operate at this scale of hundreds of thousands or millions of people. We're very bad at it, in fact. It's why, like,
I have two
they get
number
really
nines,
famous and they go
a
fucking
number
insane.
9 large, a number 6.
And there was a piece actually that one of my coworkers ran on our site a couple weeks ago about like even a previous era of the internet, when like a lot of the articles that they ended up writing were these like tweet roundups, right? Which I think presaged a lot of what happens on the internet now, like content mill bullshit. And one sentence from that piece that really got me is, an article that did under 20,000 views was often considered a failure. It is strange to look back and realize that there is an expectation for me to, every day, attract enough people to the website to fill Madison Square Garden. It's like, yeah, that is weird. Like, why are we doing this? We as human beings are not good at this, and it's not fun for many of us. So maybe the internet fad will blow over when we realize that, like, it's not good.
I think so.
I think being small but not insular is the key. And finding, I've just in like getting this film out there, I've found tremendous amounts of community in these kind of smaller screenings versus what I think is typically considered a commercial success in my industry is, going to Netflix, having millions of viewers. But instead, I think what really ends up being really valuable is connecting on a much smaller level. And I think it's what a lot of people are doing right now in the face of all of the slop and the doom scrolling, is turning to smaller communities, going to meetup groups and crocheting in the park, coming to like smaller streams.
I love it.
Reading a Substack. I think that hopefully is where things are headed, and where there can be some like joy in the internet again.
I mean, I hope so too, especially because the only people who really benefit from the internet existing at this large of a scale are massive companies, because they need it to be scaled this way for them to make enough of a profit to pay all of their investors and all of the execs running the companies who are drawing salaries of, potentially tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. And this is a thing that running my own site after working for these bigger sites for many years has taught me, is like when I was, at the Washington Post or at Kotaku or places like that, our articles would pull in tens of thousands of viewers, or at Kotaku, like hundreds of thousands, a million on a couple of them, which is crazy numbers. But like in theory, right, you should then be able to support yourself on that. That's so many views that, like, if I was just paying myself directly through that, I would be fine. That was not enough for them. I eventually got laid off from the Washington Post. Aftermath, which I run now, is significantly smaller, employs 5 of us full time. Even then, only in terms of pay, sort of part-timey. But like, we need a fraction of that number of viewers or readers to make all of that work. Like a tiny, tiny fraction of a fraction. But it's sustainable. And like that's what people should be building now, or looking to build, are these sustainable ways to conduct themselves on the internet that also I think speak more directly to specific audiences and like people who know them. You know, build real community as opposed to this like fake version of community that platforms have made up, which actually is just a bunch of drive-by arguments.
It really actually brings to mind Variety ran an article about the movie Sinners, and the headline was Sinners has amassed 61 million in its global debut. It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film, yet the Warner Brothers release has a 90 million price tag before global marketing expenses.
Oh, the Variety
profitability remains a ways away. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
You want to know what's
that shit
wild
was
about
so
that?
racist. I don't. Yeah, go ahead. Spit.
Yeah, no, Tri-hex is totally right on that. And also, once upon a time in Hollywood, by like, you know, the size of the budget, the amount of money it made on its opening release, it's very comparable, like one for one. And if you look at the coverage of that movie, it was like a triumph original film by Quentin Tarantino, shattering records, this blah 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 is the future of indie cinema, like all this kind of shit like that. This is just doing the exact same thing. Like, we're always complaining there's too many Star Wars, there's too many Marvels, I want original stories. And then this happens and it's like a huge success, right? And then why not just report on that honestly? It's really depressing.
Mm-hmm.
I need my hate clicks, baby. What's up? I guess. I don't even know. Like, just yeah. I saw that Variety headline. I was like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, what's the agenda here? God damn. If I can hop in here real quick here, I actually had 2 points that y'all were yapping about that I wanted to hop on here real quick. First, Jane, when you said, I wanted to like +1 you on this one, mass market versus proportional influence. There was a great piece about this. I forgot where I read it here, but it was like there was a point where advertisers just continue to just like to they overvalue blind volume of like engagement, like total hits or whatever, and they're not considering the actionable influence that can come from the more tight knit. You know, they want the biggest influencer with the highest follow count because, you know, number equals dopamine, whatever, right? But it's like, well, sure, you know, you can get a 7 million follower Instagram account to like do whatever here. But you know, if you get like someone who's like 10% of that size and they have a way more enthusiastic, more authentic connection to the people and whatnot, they may be more actionable towards whatever the product you're consuming and whatnot is here. So I completely want to +1 you on that here. Your film doing this here, is it you know, it's hard to really quantify the raw numbers, right, with a Twitch thing here, but also like the momentum, the word of mouth, the authentic culture, the connection that people would resonate with greatly here is invaluable compared to just like, you know, getting a screen test at a theater with people who may not even like know Twitch innately like that comparatively. Not that would subtract from the film,
Yeah.
obviously, just, you know. But
No,
like,
I mean, I was at a party the other night and someone said, well, you know, Netflix, they think they have everything figured out with their algorithm, but they're not considering who's falling asleep to their content and what that actually means.
yeah,
It's not just the viewers, it's how engaged you are, how meaningful it is to you, and what it's gonna spur you to do next.
Not only that, there's actually there was a really great piece. Chat remembers I covered this. I read the whole thing. It was amazing. I think it was from it wasn't Business Insider. It was somewhere else here, but it was effectively a huge tell-all about Netflix's model with what's CEO's name? The CEO of Netflix here, Reed whatever his name is. Well, anyways, he had admitted here that, you know, at this point, the pursuit of already climbing past 200 million active subscribers has now led to where Netflix is no longer in the agenda of creating quality. They're looking to just like continue to maintain and push forward on their insane volume of subscribers that came from the surplus of the quarantine from COVID. And now it's like, it's more about building content, that second screen activity. So now the scripts are being pinned to say, hey, look, say your exposition out loud audibly. Don't show as much. Tell everything, because people are on their phone passively consuming Netflix. Netflix is not media to consume. It is a social activity to endure, I guess, comparatively here. And so
Right.
we're, you know,
it's, like, it's background music.
yeah,
Everything
it's
is background music now.
background music, coworker music. I know we use the term slop a lot here, but I mean, when you're deliberately dumbing it down, just for the sake of it's content mill, and therefore to me that is slop. It is slop. I'm sorry, it is slop, and that is what Netflix is now incentivized to do, because they want to maintain, they want to stop the bleed, they want to slow that bleed down because they had an artificial high from quarantine, and they're chasing that continuously, and whatnot, chasing the dragon while having the heroin needle. And fuck if I know here. So I wanted to put up on that one there, one. And then two, earlier y'all were talking about, the end game of the internet when it's owned largely by 5 big corporations here. I think as like the lowest common denominator of internet consumers, right? Let's just call them like e-normies, right? Whatever, I don't know what I want to call them here. E-normies, as they're becoming more familiar with the inevitable enshittification of everything. When Discord does their IPO and that things are gonna get shitty over there real soon when that happens, right? Reddit's already.
We're all gonna move to TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak, Mumble, yeah, we're all in there, right? As Reddit's already entering their enshittification phase right now, and it's been garbage here. Google's everything now sucks ass. The non-optional AI prompting, the image search being just loaded in AI filth. You really got to use like before 2022 to get a clean image search at this point. Reverse image search was neutered and killed for Google Lens now, which I hate that as well. And the sponsored posts and the SEO is so rampant now that search results are just paid ads for the most part, because it's been reverse engineered enough to that where results are not even giving you what you want anyway here. You got to what people were doing. They're typing in thing Reddit to get hopefully something of resemblance here, because Reddit's the last frontier of like the mass simulation of forum era internet at this point. And all that to say here that, as more normies are aware of how crap everything is getting here, I do think we're going to see this this renaissance resurgence of I guess there's the terminally online, and there will be this rebel of the terminally offline, I guess. But it'll be in the internet way, like you're saying here, the small communities and all that here. So as we're seeing that more and more and more, I'm I think that's what's coming here. I don't know. Hopefully, that's the good scenario, right? That the rebel does come, and then we do that thing you were talking about here, where we have we make our own micro communities,
better, smaller, more self-contained internet.
Yeah.
I think the key is to be prepared for that moment, to be building these things now, these new websites, or something more in the mold of forums, or whatever else it's going to be. If I knew what it was going to be beyond the website like I partially own, then I'd probably be far wealthier, as opposed to quite poor. But whatever it is, get started on it. If not today, then tomorrow. That's the key.
Yeah. So, well, thanks for listening. I was kind of going on a little bit of a tangent there. I didn't want to interrupt y'all earlier, so I feel like I kind of just farted out 10 minutes of stuff just now. So I was waiting for y'all to wrap up there. But yeah, no, I'm not a fan of how it seems like we're at a point now where all the big platforms are aware that they want to just drive up daily engagement, right, to reinforce shareholder value. So you're at a point now where Twitter X doesn't like links to external shit, which is pretty deliberately neutering of the whole purpose of sharing things in a microblogging fashion. Discord is increasingly insular in its walled gardenness and I'm really annoyed at how many communities just want to have a Discord rather than a wiki or a forum or any kind of static text medium, where you're required to paywall with actually engaging with people on the platform of printer troubleshooter Discord. Why the fuck? Why not have Googleable, indexable loggings of everyone's error code so you can troubleshoot the printer here? Why would I ever want to go to a printer support Discord? What, do you hear yourself right now? And these people they trigger me. They're yeah, let's move on. Just forums are old. Let's make a Discord for this thing here. And I'm what are you, bro?
Is that a thing?
Oh my god, Nathan, back me up here, please. These people they want to kill. They want Discord everythings.
Yep. Yeah, it's a basic idea. And yeah, as you're saying, it's a shame because that walls it off from the rest of the internet. That makes it harder to search. And often that means you lose a lot of history too, because parts of Discords get deleted, or the entire Discord gets deleted eventually and no one has indexed it meaningfully. And so there's this huge resource that people were using for years and it's just gone, which is a big problem with the internet in general, is that people think the internet always remembers or never forgets. And that's just not true. Stuff is getting deleted constantly. The Internet Archive is currently under attack and will probably soon also be taken offline. We're losing just these vast swaths of history, by the day.
You're not wrong. You're referring to because I recall I was reading about this too as well, right? That tools like Wayback Machine, a lot of shit that's older than 2009 is pretty much getting hard carried by Wayback Machine, and the minute that gets under attack, I don't even know how you find those things back then. Even stuff like archived, I don't know, like not Kotaku, but just like web blog entries that depicted certain things, right?
Yeah, but no, even Kotaku is actually a great example of this, right? Because years ago, Kotaku was bought by a private equity firm, which has since stripped that entire network for parts. Only owns a few websites at this point, sold all the rest of them. Kotaku, like all the posts, because they were worried about potential like legal action being taken against them just for like using things they didn't have rights to, removed images from like every single post ever made prior to the year like 20 something. I don't remember anymore. I'd already left by the point this happened. But a lot of those posts then are fundamentally broken because they had a heavy image component of someone like describing what was in an image. And then you see the image and that completes your understanding of what the article is even about. And so they're just useless now. That's just all dead internet. So yeah, people in chat are saying just like save the things you care about. Yeah, like put them on a hard drive. Like have it physically available to you. That is the only way to ensure that it actually survives.
Actually, can I take a
Trihex? I think he'd really like a guy called Ed Zitron because he talks exactly like he's got a podcast and a Substack just talking about exactly what you're asking about. All he does is cover like the history of why the internet sucks now and explains like every corporate decision that Google ever made, why the search results appear the way they do to you.
Theory.
Well,
that is righteous.
Don't blue ball me. Drop the link in the chat. I'm trying to read. You know, I'm not a conservative. I read all the goddamn time. Give me some links here. Give me some words to consume.
Better offline the podcast, I think. Is what it's called.
Ed is also a great karaoke singer. If anyone wants that information, just a good guy.
The lesson of making this film, in a lot of ways, was how temporary the internet is. I felt like I was constantly archiving, screenshotting, saving. The only reason why D-Girl's in the film is because I archived all those streams myself because unlike Narcissa, D-Girl wasn't saving them and they just go into the ether and they're gone. I feel like we're putting so much stock in these digital spaces and then finding they're so temporary and then having to recalibrate our lives when they change or disappear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a thing for my book too, because a lot of my book was also like, moments from streamers' histories. And so there'd be times where I'd like, think, okay, well, surely they have this clip or this moment that's like pretty famous within their own history on like their YouTube or wherever else. And they wouldn't. So I'd have to like go search for like really obscure fucking like tiny ass YouTube channels that might have saved part of a clip from that moment years and years ago. And even then I'm like, okay, I'm running on partial knowledge now then. But I do have like the streamer talking about it. So at least like I know that it happened from them, because they told me directly, but it's like, I wish that I had that point of reference so I could describe it better and not just have like their words from an interview we conducted years later about it. And so then at that point, that's also why I think, pieces of supplementary media like this, whether it's a documentary or a book or whatever else, are important, because like somebody needs to be doing that work of archiving things, because otherwise it will just disappear.
Yeah, I'm looking for this now. There's a thing, is it called Archiver or Box Archive? There's a executable that will like automate a bunch of scripts for you that save like fully functioning versions of your web history automatically, like on a weekly basis. Fuck if I remember what it's called. I meant to like bring it up more because I do feel this all the way right now. For example, I was just a lazy idiot and I was in between switching hard drives. I just like got lazy one day in 2014 and then like I lost everything. I don't have any of my streams from like 2014 to like 2019 and I cry every day about it here. I'm a bit envious that like that Narcissa had all that stuff, and meanwhile I have like a massive chunk of my life completely, because my life is Twitch. I've been on this shit since 2011. I've been streaming since forever, right? And I just have half a decade in the shitter because I'm an idiot. So I'm kind of learning my lesson here too. And a lot of the websites I go to are also like partially broken now as well. Like if we're doing like this fun like childhood nostalgia, like I remember I have like the GeoCities, that's gone. I had I don't know, a lot of like user generated content short of like Neopets forum is like dead or not working anymore for me, which is kind of a bit sad. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, even like there are these things that we consider institutions right now that people believe are invincible, but like whether in our lifetime or not, one day Steam will be gone. Steam will not last forever. Like, think about things on those terms and then act accordingly.
Yeah, trust nothing. Kind of like how to bring it back to a call to action here, right? We've seen this like rally behind physical media. I want to say particularly was whenever like Oppenheimer, or it might have been a film that was financed by Netflix. Netflix did not want to do a physical release because they're like, no, that will devalue the service, right? Fuck your physical release. Or maybe it was Oppenheimer with Christopher Nolan. I forget which I might be complaining to here, but either way, like, much like with I feel like the vinyl is more of like this like consumerist driven aesthetic, kind of like book talk in a way. Like owning a book is more about bragging points than actually reading the fucking book. And so it's a bit of a different combo there. But there's something
That's funny that Netflix would do that, though, because Netflix used to be a DVD subscription service. They started out as like you get DVDs mailed to you in the mail, and then you just mail them back before they became like a streaming service. So that's funny. They're now like super anti, like that'll devalue our brand. That was your brand. That's where you came from.
I agree. But then COVID happened. They hit 200 million paying subscribers, and now they're just chasing that. They're chasing that dragon every day ever since. I think it's unsustainable, but they don't care about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
For big companies, when things are digital, they can easily be erased, which is something I'm really been thinking a lot about with this whole censorship situation. And when it's physical, like, you have to burn it for it to go away.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And
physical media is actually like pretty
based.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I can think of actually there are the one example I go to. It's a bit specific, so bear with me here if you don't know what I'm talking about. But like, there's a scene at the end of Toy Story 2, if y'all familiar with that movie, and where if you remember Woody and Jesse and the inspector, right? They're all the Woody Roundup gang, and there's that one cutaway gag during the credits where the inspector is like doing an inappropriate sexual advance gesture to those two Barbie dolls during the credits. It was a film from '99, so it's a bit cheeky, whatever here, right? But like that entire thing was removed quietly, without notice, without consent or notification or whatever here, discretion, from the Disney Plus renditions here. Like Disney's already like just completely sanitizing their whole legacy. Like rather than including like a pre-warning about like, hey, we don't endorse this, but to erase this would be the Warner Brothers thing they do with their like media from the 40s and whatnot. Disney just goes the bitch route, the cowards route, and just like doesn't even like fucking like and you're right, and it's because of digital media, all the way through here. And it's like if they do that there, and you have to look for specifically, what are they doing elsewhere? What is not currently caught right now by the internet investigations? So you're not wrong. Another reason why physical media is very, very based right now, for sure. Yeah.
And another reason why they're going after libraries, because it's just a public good.
Ooh,
yeah.
Great point.
Cover up their own history.
Yeah.
They hate libraries. Oh my god.
Can I take temperature here? Where are you guys on dead internet theory? It's a bit of a tangent, but
Like, as in, do we believe it's
that
real?
a lot of the internet is already being provided by, like...
So if any... like the idea that like 100% of the internet, or like the vast majority of the internet, is just bots at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you consider the majority of the internet, because I think there are only... I mean, I haven't done that much thinking about it, but I feel like in practical terms, like the spaces that I interact with, at least that I choose to spend my time in, are still mostly people. But I think it also depends on where you're at and what you're doing. Like, I mean, for example, if you said that about Facebook, I'd say, yeah, 100%. Without a doubt, Facebook is like 90% bots. There are no humans on that platform. But yeah, I guess it depends.
I do think, I mean, it definitely like is different depending on the location. But it does seem to me that the primary customer of websites is not users, and it's no longer advertisers. It's largely just the primary customer is venture capital, and the way you sell your site to venture capital is just, oh, we have all this traffic on our website, and that's like the easiest way to show it. So
so you just like have bots populate it, so that then it says, oh, the numbers are big.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I did watch the human simulator video about how Reddit is a psyop, so maybe I'm a little pilled a little bit. But shout outs to not human simulator, flesh simulator. Shout outs to flesh simulator.
I mean, I would not be surprised, because I agree that like the primary customer of the internet now is just investors. Again, it's all just people trying to sell their ideas to richer, stupider people.
Correct. Yeah,
So-
all the way. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are not wrong there. And I'm sorry if you want my take on that there. Yeah, the dead internet theory, it's already here, just not at the intensity where it's like, we ring the alarm bells at full throttle. But I think you're seeing the alpha builds of that slopification. Twitter's kind of like a easy, like low pick example, because like Elon clearly doesn't care about the quality of the platform. It's nothing more than a propaganda apparatus for him, et cetera, et cetera. So,
My DM requests are so funny to me. It's just all different kinds of bots, and you can see like
so bad.
them moving in waves, or like a new kind of bot has started one week, and I'm like, it's time for these guys now. And for a little bit, I was getting all these bots that were like saying, they're addressing me as boss, like, hey boss, blah blah blah, and I was like, I've got henchmen. This is so fun.
Oh my god.
And they started like trying to get me to do crypto scams, and I was like, you guys, you're not very good henchmen.
Yeah. So Twitter's like an easy one to pick on, but it's like very clear, not even meant to be like functional in anything it's doing, honestly. It's just whatever, hysteria, circus. It's all just the emotional woes of a Cinti billionaire not giving a shit about anything, honestly. I'd argue that Meta is a much more functioning example of what that will look like here, with the fact that as I think it was you earlier, Nathan, who admitted this here, where like we know they've had the whole article about how like, yeah, we Meta are having these AI accounts that are deliberately labeled AI. It was the one with the black mother of two and whatever she was.
Oh, I remember that.
Whatever that was about
they're
here,
testing
right?
that stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's
they're
like-
moving towards wanting to try that out and normalize it and see how the market takes to it. But again, the VC money has to come at the end of there being some kind of value, and the value still is human interaction. So I think like I agree with you. They're going to try and push that more and more. I don't think the internet in its totality is completely just run by bots. I think your chat is awesome. They all seem like real humans. I haven't noticed anyone
Most
being
of them. I have my suspicions about a few.
I don't know.
too robotic. Trihex, I unfortunately got to take off, but before I leave, I did want to say one quick thing. Thank you so much for making that movie. Honestly, I think the majority of movies I see, especially in like cinema related to LGBTQ plus issues or queer cinema, is usually centered around suffering and pain, usually, because that's a lot of the stories when it happens to involve queer folk. And this one was really a lot more an experience about joy and life, which is really rare to see. It's not where I saw the movie going when it started. And I think that can like, there's so much value to that in making more stories centered around issues where people obviously are having a lot of trauma and a lot of trouble, and obviously you can see a lot of the real pain in that movie, but also there's like a lot of joy and beauty, and in large part due to you as well, D-Girl, and helping a friend in that film. It really was a really beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, you also
Lance,
just
it was
used the
amazing.
language of like Twitch streaming and of the medium so well. In these ways where I was like, man, because again, like writing a book about it, I encountered similar challenges of like, how do you convey these moments? And I think that what you did was so much more effective than what I did. I was like, damn, I wish I had access to any of this. And even then I wouldn't have thought of it. So yeah, amazing work.
You'd also need like 6 years.
I mean, my book took 5, so. But yeah, I also am going to get going. This has been really wonderful, though. I've had a great time.
Absolutely,
It's been super fascinating talking with all of you.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Nathan, again, thank you also again here at the end. So I'm super appreciative. Nathan, you're cool as shit. I'm just going to glaze real quick here. This has been like I'm so sad we haven't like collabed until now. So I'm kind of so happy that tonight happened and you're able to come through, because I'm like, man, we gotta talk more. Like, I feel like we have a lot more.
I'm always around.
That'd be tight. What as a call to action before you depart here, Lance, I gave you a shout out. Thank you again. Sorry to keep you here as long as you are.
No.
Nathan, what so everyone should buy your book, right? For sure.
Man.
And why should they buy your book? What I don't know, like I guess like this is your chance to do your call to action. They should go to Aftermath and go to the site and subscribe there. But They should also buy your book for what
Yeah, definitely
reason?
subscribe to Aftermath. We're fully subscriber based. That's the only way we make money. So if you want to help us out, that's the way to do it. It enables what I think is really good journalism. If you want an example of it, check out my piece on about OTK. It's the top one on the site right now, and
Ooh,
it took
yes.
months of work.
Okay.
And is
Yeah.
all about how they ended up where they are now, and a lot of how their business failed. And I talked to ex-employees. Anyway, it took a lot of effort, but I'm really pleased with it.
Saucy.
The book is
Saucy.
also like, and then so the book is about 9 different streamers, and each chapter kind of focuses on one of them as a lens through which to view Twitch as a platform and as a culture and as an ecosystem. I mean, it was the product of years and years of work. I made sure to go to everybody's place of existence, whether that was their home or like an event or whatever they were at, to talk with them in person at length, and to really get a sense for their lives, not just when they're on camera, but also when they're off camera. In a lot of ways, I think that it mirrored what you do for a documentary. I tried to do it with a whole bunch of different people, which maybe wasn't advisable, but I'm still really happy with how it turned out. And I think that it captures a lot of what Twitch is. I wanted to write something that was both for Twitch sickos, people who absolutely love the platform and follow a bunch of different streamers, and for if you got a parent or a friend who's like, I don't get what any of this is about and I want to understand, then I would say give them my book. Maybe they'll learn something.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, bro. I super appreciate it. Last thing before you go here, I did find that thing I was talking about, by the way. It took me a long ass time. I was going insane there, but it's called Archive Box. So we were talking about the whole the importance of archiving, right? So this is an open source tool that allows you to self-host websites, and you can also continue to make whatever you're archiving viewable offline and fully functioning, self-sustaining. Automatically. You just you can just tell it to I don't know, parasitically attach to your browser activity, and it'll just start creating archivable offline copies of whatever you're browsing, which I think is a thing that I would encourage everyone to do, because I don't know where things are going to be in 5 years now, whenever Discord blows up in half and then everyone scatters like roaches or whatever else here. So good idea to consider here, just a bit of a call to action. And of course you don't have to use Archive Box, you can use whatever. There's other ones here too, but this is the one that's open source and free and blah 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 blah. So there you go there. But yeah, thank you again, Nathan. Appreciate you. Love you, bro. We will talk. We will. I am sorry we were strangers, and I look forward to the future, bro.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, bro.
See you later.
All right. And y'all, it's just us here. Are there?
Yeah.
I know it's late, so is there anything else y'all want to close with here? I guess particularly here, where does the film go from here? So the world premiere happened now on Twitch on my stream. And from here, you have your alleged PBS date happening, I believe, what you said, late June, right?
It's June 30th, but I have had 2 dates that were canceled, and there's kind of a difference between broadcasting the film with and without promotion. I don't know how much PBS wants to get this film out there, given everything. So I'm really looking to, go grassroots on this. We have the film up on Vimeo. You could check in the stream, on Twitter, et cetera, to give it a rent with the code BAND together for 50% off. I would love to have more screenings like this. So if you're a Twitch streamer and you enjoyed this and want to put on your own stream, hit me up and we'll get it going. We've had some really powerful community screenings that have been really impactful, so I hope that will continue to be on the menu. And really just trying to get the film out there however we can. I think, as I said, I think smaller is actually better and more meaningful, and really does build community. And I'm hopeful that PBS will promote the film and, do all of the engagement that they were originally so excited about. I also really want to welcome everyone to write to PBS to ask PBS to stand against censorship.
Mm-hmm.
And stick to their mandate. I think we've seen that putting pressure really does make a difference. So get out there and just write a quick email. Let them know what you think.
So here you go, one at a time here for y'all chat. So you can write the PBS and demand they stamp against censorship by going to the pbs.org/public editor/feedback, and you can leave them a nice little comment. They'll have the, if tens of us or 100 plus of us get in there, that, just the sheer volume will force them to probably acknowledge their mishaps. You know what I'm saying? If you want to support the film, here's a link, and remind me again. So band together is the code to get 50% off. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so there's that, but only for the first 50 people. So you got to get in there.
Gotta get in there.
Gotta get in there when you can. And so you're continuing this these organic, highly engaged, actionable influences in these tight-knit communities that are thriving off authenticity is the play. I love that actually here.
Yeah.
If y'all want to do your own thing, talk to her, communicate. Let's see what we can do here. Facilitate something. That's awesome. And,
yeah, we've had all kinds of screenings. Like, we've done screenings on Discord with LGBTQ gaming groups, with parents of high school students, at companies, at theaters for Pride Month. It really,
hell yeah.
I think, as I've mentioned, like, we're really at this moment with independent films, particularly documentaries, where we have to really get creative of how we get our work out there. There's a hunger for it, and now's the time for experimentation and throwing everything at the wall and see what works and creating a new thriving ecosystem.
Absolutely. Well, don't be a stranger. I'd love to help wherever I can. I'm looking forward to not just your future projects and the success of your current project, but also just whatever is on your radar, whatever you're looking forward to. I'm curious of whatever you find exciting from here on with with this the new era of the unapologetic, hopefully equally as authentic viewing lens into our culture online.
Let's make it a series.
Actually, yes, because so many people. The thing I'm getting here from the whole thing is that I could bore you for hours with the amount of anecdotes I have with when my mom tells her normie friends that I'm a gamer, and then I find out how terminally online their children are and how terminally offline their entire family is, and they just have no fucking clue. And I'm like, okay, this is the disconnect right now on a generational basis is so gaping, I guess, just huge. And I wonder, they don't even know. They don't even know. So yeah, there are stories need to be told, and there needs to be bridges connected for sure. So I'm looking forward to so much more. This one, yeah. I'm overly familiar because I literally lived the whole thing, with Narcissa, with the Rise of Speedrunning here. But I cannot wait to see what you're cooking for the things that I'm way less familiar with, actually. So
oh yeah,
keep us on the tabs here, y'all. Everyone in chat, this has been Jane Wagner, aka Pink Jigglypuff in chat. So hopefully we'll see her around here, these parts. You're always welcome to come by when you do. You've also saw here D Girl, who was on Blue Sky, and quite the talented musician. Any closing words from you as well?
Yeah, if you like the music, I got an album coming out. It's being finished up right now. It's called Man Eaters. Going to be on Bandcamp and all the other places. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to follow me on socials, I don't go on Twitter no more. But I am very annoying on Blue Sky, at DGIRL, because that's the name I actually wanted, and they don't allow underscores in your on your Blue Sky handle. Yeah, and if you be sure to bookmark my NeoCities page. It's the elephant.
I'm gonna go. I want to see the future here. Yeah.
Yeah. The future is old websites that you got to code yourself in HTML. I also blog on Tumblr at the Elephants Daily. So, yeah.
No, listen. D Girl, hope you're right. I want forums and NeoCities, and I want this to come back here. I'm so done with the world's smallest tangent here. How often discourse happens on things like Facebook or more commonly Twitter, and then someone admits here, oh, my post left its intended audience, and now the convo was unbearable shit of just arguing and no one understanding the point of it anyway. And I'm like, oh my, it's not even doing its job anymore. Like the conversation is literally, it's just arguments and people arguing past the point and no one even agreeing on what the framing of the argument even is anymore. It's just hot
And you're arguing with
dumpster.
bots. The person you're arguing
True,
with is a
yes.
bot, guaranteed.
Literally, and it's like, it's got to be a bot. The point they're making here is just farming ratio, and there's no shame here. It's probably a bot.
The default profile picture, they have 8 posts. It's 100% a bot.
Account made less than 2 months ago. Like, okay, bro, yeah, we gotta go. Yeah, it's not even work. Like, dead internet theory all the way through here. Like, I see it. I'm like,
telling you, man.
It's either a bot or my mom.
Exactly. Yeah.
no, it's bless your mom. Your mom would not. The post I've seen is just like, I mean, they call it's just this dumb shit, right? It'll be like Sydney Sweeney, just like, you know, oh, she's mid, and it's like, okay, bro, it's just farming. Or it's like it's like an obviously like really ripped girl, right? Just like totally like just like athletic, chiseled abs, like Goku abs, and it's just like, nah, bro, they're too fit. I wouldn't fuck that. And it's like, okay, bro, this is just these posts.
It's all posts like the most beautiful woman you've ever seen in your life, and then like losers calling her mid.
Yeah, it's rage slop. It's literally rage slop. I'm what else would it be? Obviously, right?
Yeah. I do want to say, if you're feeling intimidated, if you're thinking about making like a yesterweb kind of HTML website, and you're kind of intimidated by like the programming that goes into it, there's so many resources where you can like people make layout builders for you, and you can just type in like plug in parameters and it'll spit out HTML code. You just copy paste it. And it's that easy. So if you want to get started, it's right there. Hell
yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, it's like the way I would market this here is it's like Lego building but digital. You know, it's fun. Like learning and refining the skill is the fun part here. You know, am I allowed to hate real quick here? Just, you know, whenever you see like, I don't know, like,
dude, hate it. Hey, I am such a proponent of hating. I do calisthenics to be able to hate better.
Okay, well, so it's like, you can just tell when it's like Squarespace or just like the run-of-the-mill like wizard generated stuff here. Like, it's like you can just tell really quickly, and it just takes you out so quickly. You're like, okay, this is just slop, whatever here. If a kid can learn, you can learn all the way through here for sure. And there's a charm to whenever you can tell it's crafted by hands, I would say. All the way through.
I want to see a section where it says under construction. I want that on your website. I want to know that you're struggling to figure out how to code. Because that's real, dude. People are searching for realness.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong all the way through here. Which is funny because it's like, what is there to admire about speedrunning, right? It's unapologetically the human effort. Like, the minute it's just like, oh, I could just show you like what, you know, AI can just do it better, right? It's like, well, then yeah, that wasn't the point though. It was the human element that made it like tangible and like made me feel something, I guess. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on the AI art stuff. I'm just like, I'm so, oh my god, bro, it's exhausting.
You'll find my next film interesting because we will be using AI art, but in a transformative, non-neo-fascist, and ethical way.
Yeah. I look forward to it. Rock my world.
Your next documentary is going to be covering the real-life Butlerian jihad, where we outlaw all thinking machines. I want to get that thing where like the mentats, their eyes turn white or whatever. I got to find out or like the juice that they drink in the books that makes your lips turn purple. I want that.
Awesome. Well, again, thank y'all both for the calls to action. Again, keep me on the tabs here if y'all need anything else. I'm here. All love here.
Thank you.
I thought this was fantastic. Fat W's all the way through. I mean, the people, I didn't see any haters. I mean, the ones that came through, they clearly hadn't watched the film. The ones who stayed for the film, they loved it. So keep that in mind, and know that y'all are trucking. And in the end, Digo, you're really based. Your whole story in the film, I'm just like another time maybe we can have another convo, because we're so tapped on time. There's like a lot I'd love to like have a fun convo about, like LDR, because I went through LDR myself before I got with my my girlfriend, and like those who've been through LDR, it's like we're built different. Like that is some fucking shit. I felt everything that you were talking about, going through, yearning for the unapologetic PDA and all that here. Like, you're based as fuck for all that. That was awesome as shit. For real, for
Thank
real.
you. Yes, I am pretty cool.
You are.
Trihex, I have to say, I do remember very strongly watching your stream, and then I think you went to like a GDQ or something and met Venom for the first time, and you were just
Oh yeah, yeah. That's correct.
gushing, and
Yeah. That was AGDQ 2016.
it was, it was, it was kind of like a treat to kind of watch that unfold.
Oh man, yeah. I am I'm a big mush ball. I'll admit there. I'll be real about that. I was my whole like teenager into adulthood story romantically is just a giant shit ball of trauma and no father figure and no guidance there. So I was romantically underdeveloped. And so, like I don't know. I the whole thing for me was I just didn't even like I'm like, okay, well, romance and those feelings and like dealing with rejection, this is all later on. I'm gonna focus on my career with Twitch right now, or my opportunity here, because if I get like a GF right now, I'm just gonna get caught up and whatnot. And actually, I wasn't even looking for love really here. That my story is like not the focus right now, but I appreciate that. Yeah, it's again, and I'm sad that all of that I don't have right now. I have none of that archived. I have like 3 clips that are in my Twitch VODs that are going to be nuked if I don't save them before May 19th, and that's it. I don't even have all the things that you remember, those magical moments. I don't have archived because I'm an idiot. So I feel like a dumbass. I'm hoping that like some random like savior just has like my some parasocial entity has like my archive somewhere in an offline hard drive, and I can just like pay them. Please let me get that off you, please, or something like that. But thank you though, thank you. Yeah, I there is something to be said here about LDR. I don't quite know if I've ever seen a movie really go in on what that is really like here. I feel like to a small degree, a lot of people know about shit like 90 Day Fiance, which is not inaccurate, but definitely quite sensationalized a ton. And
I worked on it. It's yeah.
Yeah. It's not.
thing.
It's like not even like the amount of red flags going on here from it is you know what it is. It's reality content. It is what it is. But yeah, I haven't seen like LDR like how you did the authenticity of Narcissa's story. I'm like, will there be someone? Because for example here, and maybe I'm kind of like I don't mean to like poke your brain a whole thing here, right? But like when it comes to that, when me and Venom got together, like when it went from like, oh hey, I'm talking to somebody to like, okay, now we're in distance, and then we close distance, within a year, right? I got a lot of DMs from people being like, hey man, how'd you do it? Because like, right now I'm talking to somebody and we're in LDR and we're talking about like maybe in 2 years we can like figure it out here, but like, how did you do it? How'd you like do all that? So there are people who are like, there are a lot of people who like either do it and are trying to figure out the plan, or they want to do it but they're scared because they don't know what the variables are to like make it work out here. There's I'm telling you, there is a story there on modern romance, especially online now. Definitely.
I think you are right. I think the prevailing culture does not get online romance right. That's for sure.
Yeah. For
Sorry,
sure.
I don't want to like derail the conversation, but there's some fangirling about ChatGPT and AI in the chat, and I just want to let you know that I see all of the crap you guys make with AI, and it looks terrible, and I'm making fun of you, and so is everyone you ever cared about. They're all making fun of you for being a scrub.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds based to me. Roll with it. I've been busy. I haven't even reached. I don't know what you're talking about right now. But yeah, I don't know if someone's using GPT to like, and then telling it, hey, give me a black girl accent and give me that sass, right? Like, and they just start like just yapping. Yeah, it's a bit weird for sure.
But this is some like, I don't want to break out the Adorno or whatever, but a lot of like what gets people to kind of adopt this stuff is just is the impulse to social conformity. So if they're hearing that everyone else is doing it, then they jump on it. So the way you counter that is by bullying people positively, because that's how like the way like bullying and mockery works is it's about enforcing social conformity. So you can use that to your advantage. So you do have a moral imperative to make fun of people for using this chat GPT to write their stupid, terrible code.
Or okay, Okay. No, I think I mean, or God help me here, using GPT to outsource your emotional affection. You know, the perfect love letter written by GPT, delivered by you. Okay. Great job.
Yeah.
Nice prompting, bro. You know, I really feel that one for sure.
I saw like like an artist on, I think it was on Blue Sky. No, it was a screen cap of a Twitter conversation, and they're like a painter and they paint with like brushes and like and
Oh, and
someone said like,
it
oh, this is.
fills in all the detail, right?
Well, no, it's no. They were like they're an actual artist, but like the person like commenting under it said like, this is so good. What prompts did you use? And the response was, I thought of something and I drew it.
Nice.
That's the energy we need. This is like, we need haterdom. This is the thing that will lift us up.
No, you're right. Okay. I don't mean that. You're right. I'm derailing right now, but I feel like if I don't bring it up now, I'll never bring it up ever again here. So there's this terrible person. Maybe y'all know of them. There's a lot of terrible people online, right? But do y'all know of Melanie Mack? Does this ring a bell? No.
The name sounds familiar.
This is a Jesus loving, overtly Christian, allegedly, but very blatantly homophobic. I don't know. Think like Asmongold, but like with tits and like goth scene girl makeup and shit. Literally just right out of MySpace 2005. But you know, but Asmongold takes everywhere, I suppose, here, for lack of a more concise summary. Well, she routinely F slur, R slur, like every, you know, I'm gonna call them F slur because they are an abomination to Jesus, and just, you know, right. But she's like 19 or whatever, and just looks, and you know, looks conventionally attractive, hot. So therefore, it's totally like awesome and basic. She has other stuff there. Well, I saw a quote tweet of one of her like random like anti-gay tirades that she does like daily on her stream and whatnot, and someone was like, you know, we have to start calling them, you know, retards and F slur in order to like, because they're never gonna feel anything if they always feel they can just out slur and out derogatory the discourse of like them being intolerant and whatnot. And I'm kind of thinking back to what you said here, D-Grill, about like we gotta bully them, and I think it's you're right. We can't bully them with like labeling their actions as bad in a more verbose long sentence. You gotta like figure out how to fight fire with fire and always reevaluate what will resonate to the person so that they reevaluate their actions. Like you were saying.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot.
I mean, a lot of people just kind of operate from it. It's easy to think that people operate from principles or whatever, but most of the time people just operate from impulse, and then their justification follows that. They like make up an ideology to kind of justify whatever they were doing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I don't want to start calling people NPCs, but you kind of got to treat them like that a little.
No, I'll call them that shit. I'll call them all day. I'll call that ass out. I don't think you're wrong at all with that one. It's a very fair interpretation of a lot of them, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, please give me your take so I know what to think about it here, and we go from there. That's a lot of them. A lot of them.
Yeah.
All the way through. But yeah. Oh, God, it's 11:30 here. We should wrap up now because I'm more hungry than I am like ready to keep going. I need to go eat some more food and go from
Same.
here. So yeah, again, everyone, check out the film. D-Girl, thank you again. We look forward to your album. Yeah, and I love all of you. Thank you all for tuning in today. It was fucking awesome and sick.
Thank you.
Any last words? So I'm clicking the hang up button after y'all say y'all are done.
Free Palestine.
Based. Jane.
Same.
Based. All right. And with that, y'all, have a great night. Peace.
Deuces.